my name is Karen Ravenel-Bloom, and I am the Prevention Director of the Wyndham Prevention Coalition, and we are located in Wyndham Willimantic, Connecticut. Yeah, this was just totally amazing. We were so thrilled to have Vive18 and Jake here. So my colleague Mary had met Jake and heard about the program down at the National Prevention Conference, and she just kept hearing all these awesome things about Vive18. She came back from the conference and said, Karen, we have to reach out to this group. And she said, and not only just meeting him, but she said, I've also spoken with other people in Connecticut that have brought him to this state and brought his group, and they were raving about the program too. So we just said, let's do it. So we're thrilled, really thrilled to have Jake here and you here. You know, actually, Mary, my colleague, did most of the work, but we did do. There was one day that we had a Zoom conference, a Zoom call with you, with Emily, and with Jake sat in on the call, and it was just. I just felt like it was very personable, easy. And I think the other thing too that was really nice was I felt like just the follow-up, the communication was really good. And when you're doing this kind of work, because you know I've done this work over a number of years, you know it's so key is just having having this response, having the back and forth, and just laying out all the plans. And I want to say originally we were scheduled to have you for one day at 2 different schools, and we were really crossing our fingers that we could also get into the middle schools. So as time got closer, so there wasn't a whole lot of time in between, but things did come together with our middle schools. I just felt like it just felt like the pieces of the puzzle fit together, that you were able to be here for 2 days, and I know you're moving on to Massachusetts tomorrow, but it just felt like such a smooth transition. Also for me, as someone, first of all, who loves the arts, but also the prevention theme, being able to get the message through using some of that fun, upbeat drumming, and then storytelling, but in a very positive way. I just felt like the whole show from beginning, I call it the show, but the whole event from beginning to end, the connection, what I saw at each of the schools I was at is that just Jake's relatability to the students, and you can see it. You can see this, it's very right there. So that was really nice, and so it's just been exciting to have you in our community for 2 days. So one thing is that because you were at 2 different middle schools, 2 of our different middle schools, and then 2 of our local high schools, is that we also have a youth leadership coalition. Leadership Council, and they are made up of middle school and high school students. And so many of those students, as we were going around to the schools, I'd see them, oh, Karen, you're here today. Oh, what's this going to be all about? And so some of them even came up to me yesterday, like after it was done, that was an awesome show. That was really fun. And so for us, we'll have a chance to regroup with our youth. As a matter of fact, we have a local town, it's a street festival that happens every 3rd Thursday from May to June, and so some of them will be with us tonight to run our booth. And so having something like this is an opportunity to have more conversations with the students and for them to take the messaging out. And one of the things that I know I've heard from even parents of these youth is that from what they learn being part of our youth council is that they're learning these things. Like, for example, when Jake was talking today about some of the things about dopamine, about things, how it impacts your brain. And our youth have learned some of those things, as well as some of the refusal skills that we practice with them too. But I've had parents say that I've overheard my child or my kids or their friends talking with their peers, like their sports teams, and saying, you guys, like, don't do those vapes, like, what do you do? We want to stay healthy for playing our sport. So having the youth themselves be able to get that messaging out, because we can do just so much, but when it really starts soaking in and it's coming from their voice, I think it's very powerful. Just bring them in. And actually one thing too that I really like speaking with you and Jake about yesterday was hearing that it's not just Jake, but that it's a team, that you have a team of folks, and that each person within your team has a little bit different skill sets and the way they tell their message and story. So I love the whole thing of skill sets. And so I love how, like, his skill set and one of his passions is music and drumming. And then he was talking about one of the other team members that does magic. And so it's sort of like, you know, showing that, bringing the best of yourself and then weaving in the story and the messages, keeping it interesting and relevant and constantly engaging the youth, the students in the audience. So yeah, I would tell them, yeah, go for it. If you can, you know, work it out. And the other thing too is, you know, the whole idea of block booking. Like, for example, if you can get another town or, you know, another location within the state, it's just really nice, helpful. It's a win-win for everybody when you can do that. So yeah, I would say definitely go for it. I think parents, you know, any adults, community members, one of our coalition members was here just speaking with you, and I just think this message is so relevant for everyone, for middle, high school students, college students. This would be awesome for, and I think you have a program that's geared towards college, and then also, but yeah, the adults, because I think I love the whole non-judgmental, and I know as we're doing the work we do, we put that out as well, that we know how easily, even if somebody's just trying to experiment with something, how easy it is to get, you know, just to become addicted quickly to things like the nicotine that are in vapes. And so I think that's one of the things we put out, is that, you know, even if you're just experimenting a little, we tell students that, you know, you may have a friend that's how they start out, but it just so much takes over their systems that it's really challenging to try and quit. But you know that there are support folks out there, and I do know, and I just want to weave this into, I've had several students, or I've had some parents that have said, as a result of my youth, or in fact, I met someone at our Romantic Willimantic Downtown Chocolate Fest last February, that said, my daughter was part of a program here at this particular school, and she's learned a lot about vaping and alcohol and stuff, and she said, you know, not that I use a lot, but I have 3 teenage girls, and she said, and I started thinking more to myself about what she says, I was vaping, and so she goes, I have since quit, and she said, and I used to have, you know, glasses of wine here and there. She goes, but I've just decided, you know, I think I can kind of stop that now, you know, and I've had another parent say similar kinds of things. So I think sometimes when parents hear the messaging from their youth, I think that's really powerful as well. So that's what I would say. I think in the way that he does this, or your team does it, I don't know, I don't know if you have a special program for adults, but for me, I feel like what we heard today really goes across the board, that it's in such a way that I think the message is simple and relevant to adults, youth, right across the board.